So, for today's class, hey, who? Oh, you must be a new student. Well, since it's your first class, I hope you won't be too lost. Anyways, visuals. They're important. Whether it's 2D, 3D, or 2.5D, it doesn't matter. The fluidity and immersion of a game is most affected by the visuals. Bad visuals just make the game feel sloppy. Most games nowadays look quite amazing. Most. I mean, we've come a long way from the ugly 16-bit graphics.
Ew.
For me, the realistic looking games do not exactly pull me, because, well, isn't that just what's outside? And God forbid I have to touch grass. Yuck. Most of the games I play nowadays are indie games, because they have such fun and interesting visuals and ideas, environments that keep changing, colorful characters, and interesting art styles. You might be asking what makes me so qualified to be talking on this topic. Well, first of all, I'm a gamer. This is a picture of me playing my first game. What? Second of all, I'm an amazing I'm an amazing animator. Just look at this pigeon, and this boat, and all of these unfinished projects. Wait a minute. With that out of the way, what are visuals? It's the characters.
Wow.
It's the dialogue boxes. It's the
Wow.
backgrounds.
Wow.
It's the details that you don't care about.
Hey, that's me.
In short, it's everything that your eyeballs can see. Now, picture this. You're playing as a guy whose weapon is a bat. The objective is to hit the bad guy, for example. You go up to them and swing, but it just goes through and does damage. No impact, no flavor. It's raw. But now imagine if it had a cool animation when you hit him, like this. That would really make you feel like the man with the bat. Okay, I let myself out. This is called particle effects, which is what Kingdom Hearts 2 excelled at. The effects that come off of the enemies when you hit them with your keyblade and the satisfying sound effects made my 7-year-old brain's dopamine sensors fire off, which made younger me say that this is the best game in the whole universe, which, well, let's just say there wasn't much competition. Kingdom Hearts 2 had this childish joy in its one half of the visuals with a more darker, grittier vibe on the other half. 1 second you're in the 100-acre woods, riding in the air on balloons, and the other second you're fighting and killing humans in Port Royal with Jack Sparrow. This game kept switching if it wanted to be a game for baby boys or cool, tough baby men. This was something that Kingdom Hearts 3 lacked in my opinion. All of the game was made for kids, with all of the worlds having similar cartoony art styles missing on the darker, grittier part. Or more like, they failed in including it in a meaningful way that would keep older people interested. It could be that I have grown up and aged, or the fact that half of the game is just a shortened version of the movie or a puzzle, but it just felt much more aimed for children than Kingdom Hearts 2. Although, this could just be my age talking. Moving on from that franchise, I also have here in my notes a good old game named Hades. Look, it's obvious that the game looks great, I mean anybody with eyes can see that, but I want to point out what I like. The first thing I wanted to point out is the artwork of the gods and the way they were portrayed. It was great. The intricate designs and poses conveyed the gods' personalities extremely well. For example, Hermes always looks like he has somewhere to be, and Poseidon just always looks so chill. The second and main thing is the backgrounds and the environment, because that is what pushed me to keep on playing and playing throughout the grueling world of hell. It pushes you... Hey, knock it off.
Sorry.
It pushes you forward to try again after losing a good run. You want to get back there to the beautiful forest, or at least out of the cesspit called hell. Switching up the environment keeps the game fresh and makes me excited to see what the next place is going to look like, while also introducing new and interesting enemies. The insane part of this game is the fact that it's made by an indie studio with only 20 people in it, because it plays like and looks like a AAA studio made game, and having played their other games, mostly Bastion, they really have mastered the art style and brought out its full potential. Another reason for why I hold visuals to such a high standard in video games is because of the potential that it has to convey emotions, feelings and experiences in a much more easy to digest way than with words. Omori is a good example of a game that does this well. Omori doesn't exactly tell you everything, but a rather big part is conveyed in images, literally. This adds a layer of mystery to the story and honestly makes the experience more horrifying, by feeding you snippets of the whole picture which let your mind run free. The psychological horror tag on this game was no joke, because this game visualized fears in an extremely interesting and scary way, while showing the process of overcoming them in a realistic way. They also did this unsettling thing where they put real photos into the game, which was extremely unnerving, like this door shouldn't be this scary, nor should this light bulb. Sea of Solitudes shows the inner turmoil in the main character while they're in a rough time in life, throughout the environment and characters. The sky turns dark and gloomy when they're sad, while when happy, the sky becomes bright and sunny. The characters are scary, hairy beasts that hate the main character, symbolizing the way she thinks these people see her. While the visuals aren't the most spectacular, they don't have to be. The purpose of them is more on the fact that they convey a message to the player. Unlike Omori, this game mostly conveys the story verbally with memories of dialogues from the main character's perspective. But this game visualizes the character's loneliness in an extremely creative way, even with its simplistic art style. While we're on the topic of simplistic art styles, there ain't a lot of things that are more simplistic than a 16-bit art style, which is something that Celeste has. To the people who say 16-bit games are ugly, cap. You are a certified clown. Just look at this. This game has many amazing parts about it, from the smoothness of the gameplay to the story that deals with anxiety, you might be noticing a pattern, to the wonderful music composed by Lena Rain. But this lecture is about visuals. So first off, the dialogue boxes. Although they seem normal at first, the main thing I wanted to point out was what they did with Badeline, who is the so-said pragmatic part of Madeline, the main character. The first time you meet her, she suddenly defies your expectations that were set by the first dialogue with Granny, when a part of Badeline comes out of the box. And I found her playing with the planes very cool. Celeste, like Hades, is also a hard game, so the fact that every single stage is set in very different environments is a great contributor to pushing the player to keep on going up the mountain. The foregrounds are just gorgeous, and the small animations of the environment just make this game feel so polished. And I think that this is what brings the game's visuals up to a new level. Every screen has something that moves to make the environment livelier, whether it's snow falling, cables moving in the wind, chandeliers swinging, water flowing, me dying, something's always interacting with the environment. The Borderlands series has such an iconic art style that I have absolutely fallen in love with. I love cel shading, which is a way of rendering shadows that mimics the style that's found in cartoons and comic books in a 3D game, movie, or just an overall 3D environment. Borderlands 2 was the first Borderlands game I played. Other than the gameplay, which slapped, the designs of the characters and the environment were great, fitting perfectly with this gritty and gruesome world, fighting beasts and bandits in a snowy tundra and then to a city overrun by robots. Though I do think the environment is something that Borderlands 3 actually did do better than Borderlands 2. Even with the lackluster story, the environments were amazing. Because of the addition of going from planet to planet, the environmental artists were given so much freedom to just make amazing and interesting places, and it kept getting amazinger with Tiny Tina's Wonderland. With the addition of being an old school fantasy game, even more freedom. Jumping from the snow to the forest to the graveyard, it was just so refreshing. It also had some amazing gun animations for the reloading and shooting, from just, regular reloading to putting a bolt in the chamber to fit with the theme of fantasy. The fantasy genre can be used in many ways, and one example I have is Inscription, which is a horror, deck-building escape room type of game that is as fantasy as it can get. The art style is horrifying and eerie. You can move in the game, but at the start it is extremely frightening, because the so-said DM does not stop looking at you, and it makes you feel like if you make one wrong step, you're dead. The fear is shown throughout your character as well, in the form of your hands shaking while holding the cards. I won't talk more about this one because you should really experience this masterpiece for yourself. This game has an amazing art style, interesting ideas, and great gameplay. When it comes to JRPGs, the first thing that people focus on is the story. But I think that there is one specific game of this genre that managed to nail it when it came to the visuals. And that game is Persona 5. And I know that this isn't an original first-time exclusive thought. I mean, everybody and their mother thinks this. This game is one of the only JRPGs to make the turn-based combat interesting. The main things they did to achieve this were make the menuing feel cool and interactive by not just making the boxes and giving each move their own input, and they made the combat look amazing, something that, for example, the Pokemon series has yet failed to do. Whenever I got to do a team attack, I was extremely excited, because I know that it's gonna look really sick. Overall, everything is extremely stylish to look really cool, with a great usage of the coolest colors, as we all know, black, red and white, which is literally everywhere. The style also stayed in theme with the story, with it being about a so-called crime group, the font used mimicking that of a letter which can't be traced by handwriting. And that's it for the lecture. Now, the rest of the time in this lecture is for y'all to ask questions. Why are you watching this? Oh, I just like the way it sounds, you know?